guys, welcome to Quarter with Farhan. And finally, after a lot of promotions on all platforms, I'm here today. All my life, I always thought whenever I looked at a talk show as to what are they talking and why are they talking over a cup of coffee? Aren't real conversations happening over a drink? I thought of doing an alcohol talk show, 4 years ago. I wasn't ready. 3 years ago, I wasn't ready. Even now, I'm not ready, but you can't wait anymore. So here I am with my first episode. To start the first episode of Quarter with Farhan, I thought of having a buddy whom I've grown up with. Like I've literally grown up with this person. We started following the same football team together. We started playing sports together. He was much more of a Sharma ji ka beta in my house, where every time my father used to be like, Sharma ji ka beta in everybody's house, so Kare ke bete ko dekh, Kara ke bete ko dekh. So that was a motivational thing for me, but also it was that, I looked up to him in whatever he did. When we graduated from school, I took the commerce stream, I did business management, and Talib somehow told me that he's going into sports management. So Talib.
Thank you, Farhan. That summed up really well. And yes, we've had a long childhood. We've played together. We've fought together. We've worked together, helped each other in our presentations, and it's been a long journey. And here we are today. Yes, sports management. I never thought of that it's gonna be my career. If I look back, it's been nothing less than a fanboy moment for me. You remember we used to watch football matches, cricket matches together. We would have Wankhede to watch Sachin Tendulkar play. And little did I know that I would be interacting with Sachin Tendulkar during IPL, or I would be sharing the same space with them post matches. So it still gives me the shivers, like from where did we begin and where we are right now. And it's been a long journey. It's been a tough journey. And it's been a road less traveled. Like not many take up sports management, like you said. Not many people believed in me when I took it up. My father used to actually tell me, "Ye kya pura din you keep playing games, team banate rehta hai," and all that. And today I'm making money out of it, and that's my profession. Today I can relate better to any other management or a professional guy who's there in the industry, because we've played sports, because we come from that background. So yes, it's been a big, long journey. I've worked across sports. I've worked on almost all sporting leagues in India, be it hockey, be it kabaddi, be it cricket, be it ISL. I've worked for multiple seasons. I've worked in various departments. I've done operations. I've done sponsorship servicing. I've done strategic partnerships, which I do right now for IPL. And yes, it's been a very, very.
How many years into this ride?
It's been 7 years.
7 years.
Yes, I started in 2013 and now we're in 20, so it's been 7 years. My first gig was in 2000.
First gig. So I wanna ask you about your first gig. Was it like, let everything else be? Was it even a paid gig?
Yes, to be honest, it's not like every other struggle story. I was given a red carpet, not because of any influence as such. I joined my college, a sports management college, wherein we all got interviewed for a potential position in IPL to work for IMG. IMG is one of the leading sport management agency in the world. They manage talent, they own Miss Universe and a lot of platforms. And I said, wow, I need to crack this. We were 50 of us, around 8 to 10 got shortlisted. Of that, they selected 3 people. So of those 3 people, I was one of them who got a chance to work on IPL as a sponsorship coordinator. Okay. And my first gig was directly into IPL. That was my first job ever.
What year is this?
This is in 2013. 2013. And my pay was 45,000.
Wow.
But it was in an unknown city. I had to move to Pune. I had to get my own place and all of that. But money didn't matter back then. It was about the experience. And yes, started from there and here we are.
So when you had your first gig and you had your best player, your player walk in front of you, did you go up to him and you were like, "Hey, I'm your fan, can you sign this for me?"
Oh my god, how I have stopped myself from that.
I know, right?
It's unbelievable. So first thing when you get into the sports industry is never go approach a player, never go ask for photographs, because you're in a professional space and it doesn't look good. And that still holds true. If you go to my Twitter profile or Facebook or Instagram, I have zero pictures with any players. And but the first day when I entered office, my office was overlooking the Sahara Stadium, which is now the MCA Stadium. So the Pune Warriors team used to play there, and I couldn't believe it. Like, I'm sitting in a room where commentators and where players used to sit, and that's my office overlooking the ground and the field which we've grown up playing in. And I remember Alan Donald was the bowling coach of Sahara Pune Warriors, and my bowling action today is like Alan Donald.
Yeah.
So I grew up idolizing him, and when he came in front of me, like you said, I'm like, shit, I need to get a picture with him. But I'm like, no, hold back. This is what you've been told. If you want to grow in the industry, there will be a day when they know you personally, and these things will be normal. So control your fanboy moments, and yes, I've been good at that so far.
So IPL, it started with IPL, but
Yes.
IPL has only like say three months of drama or
Right.
3 months of. What about the other days or the other months of the year?
So when I started, basically it's a very freelance-oriented industry.
Yes.
Very few people are permanent in the industry, and even till date, it is a freelance-dominated industry. But since IPL, you might have noticed that it's given birth to several other leagues. ISL started in 2014. Pro Kabaddi League started, Badminton League started, Hockey League. So these leagues have their own windows that are exclusively to them, and they avoid clashes with other tournaments. For example, my calendar year initially was only IPL, and slowly it began into doing the IPL. The moment IPL gets over, I started working on ISL.
Okay.
Then I started working on hockey.
Okay.
Then during the monsoon season, when none of the outdoor sport is happening, that's when Kabaddi comes in. It's an indoor sport. So we were very small group of people who actually work in this whole ecosystem, and that's how my year goes by, or used to go by, at least. So apart from IPL, these were the leagues I also worked on.
So enough of that introduction, and let's get the talking done. So before we move on with everything, the first, we call it happy hours. The first happy hours is we have 2 shots of Jägermeister. Before the quarter, before anything, 2 shots of Jägermeister, and then we start. Now that you all know Talib, now that you all know me, let's start, okay? Cheers, guys. Cheers. Talking about the business. If I want my logo at the back of the cap over here, my team logo, if I want it here, what would it cost me?
Farhan, right now it differs from teams to team. The brand valuation of every team is different. So let me not put in names of teams, but giving you
A team from Bangalore.
A team from Bangalore is right up there because they have good marketing push. They've got a good brand value right now in the industry. Though they've not won the IPL, but their brand is very strong, and that's what commands the value of that back of the cap sponsorship. So it could cost you anywhere about 1 crore.
1 crore.
Yes, but it differs from scenario to scenario. It depends what sort of inventory we're looking at, and also a lot of external forces, what the market is like. We've seen recession where the market is in a bad position. People are not going to pay you that crore, right? So the market sentiments, the brands, what they are foreseeing, if they're going to get some ROI out of it, and how much are they ready to shelve into that. That matters a lot. We can all go in the industry and say, I want 1 crore for that. But we need to understand how much does the market has that appetite to put in that money. So the valuation differs from team to team. If you see a team which hasn't performed well, who doesn't have a big brand value or a social media following, so their price would definitely be lower.
And do the players' face value influence the valuation of the team?
Oh yes, big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
And one example that had happened. Give me one example that happened with you where a player came and boom, the team valuation just.
I don't want to jot it down to one player. There are many big players in the industry. There's Virat Kohli, there's MS Dhoni, there is Rohit Sharma, then there's the Chris Gale, who's they say Mr. T20, and he is a flamboyant player. We've seen him since year one, and he's been firing up the IPL. I wouldn't say it has increased a certain team's value, but it does bring that wow factor.
Okay.
Right? Chris Gayle was in Kolkata Knight Riders, he went to RCB, then he later went to Kings 11 Punjab.
Yeah.
And every brand, every sponsor loves Chris Gayle.
Yeah.
You see the Geo ad, you see any Fena ad or any sponsor ad, like you see a Chris Gayle dancing, or he's joyous and he's fun. He's ready to do whatever you ask for, and he does it lovingly. So I think it's quite appealing for brands to have someone like a Chris Gayle on a roster, and that does, I won't say increase the brand value of the team, but it makes the team more appealing.
Okay. So IPL, how much of percentage is entertainment and how much of percentage is real cricket? And the entire business, is it only for, is BCCI doing this only for business, or they really want to structure young talent academy? Like, it's really difficult. We are 13 seasons or 14 seasons into the IPL, and I still don't see a base concrete structure for the upcoming talent. I yet think that there is some nepotism happening, or there is some influence happening, or something or the other things are happening.
Farhan, I would love to disagree on to that. I think IPL is the biggest platform to give opportunity to any player. The tagline of the league is where talent meets opportunity.
Okay.
You have the talent, you make it big. Who knew a Yusuf Pathan? Who knew a Jasprit Bumrah? Right? There are hundreds of such cases. You've got a son of a pani puri vendor who's gone for crores of rupees. You've got Mohammad Siraj, who's son of an auto rickshaw driver, who got sold for some about 3 to 4 crore rupees a couple of years back for Sunrisers Hyderabad. And those kind of stories keep coming up every year. They're guys who we wouldn't have probably tapped, we wouldn't have seen them on the domestic circuit, right? So IPL gave them a platform to play against the best of the best in the world. Even now, if you look back the recent reports, every player, right from David Warner to the English players, they all say IPL is the best T20 competition in the world. So it is pure cricket. The cricketing talent is right up there, and it's unmatched. It is the gold standard tournament, as ICC mentioned, that IPL has set a gold standard, which is a big achievement. And you see the quality of cricket that goes into IPL. We have last over finishes. We have some crazy scores. We've got quality bowlers, best foreign players, and yes, we've added the entertainment quotient to that. Yes,
but this 2020, it's
a format of the game. It's ICC also has a T20 World Cup, isn't it? And that's where it all started. So it's when India won the T20 World Cup, and after that, the IPL started. So it is cricketainment, and every sport right now is trying to engage with fans. Every sport right now is trying to make it worth the while you're at the stadium. You look at kabaddi, people are on the edge of the seats. It's a nice indoor sport, packaged well, and it's doing wonders. Similarly, IPL, it would be unfair to say that it's just entertainment. I think it's purely cricket, and entertainment is a supporting factor to it.
Okay. Well, Indians I don't feel it. I hope you all also don't. I to feel 75% entertainment hai, 25% cricket hai boss. That's what I feel.
Yeah, I don't think so far.
And 100% ka business mangta hai.
Business is true, yes.
Business, yeah.
It is a franchise model, right? It is a franchise model. There's big money involved.
You spoke about recession, when an industry hits a recession, and right now, as we sit here and we speak, the world is going through a crisis. And a lot of businesses, small businesses, multinationals, individuals, a lot of them have gone through crisis. Some have even suffered. As a sports professional, how do you think it has impacted your industry?
Well, it has impacted like every other industry, Firstly, there is no sport.
Yeah.
That's the biggest impact. You don't have the property to sell.
Yeah.
Like IPL got postponed. The biggest sporting spectacle, Olympics, that got pushed to 2021. So it has impacted every sport. They had a pause, I think, for the 2-3 months, March, April, May. Most of the sporting tournaments, they were on standstill. So the revenues get impacted, the ad revenues get impacted, ticket sales get impacted. You don't get your broadcast deals because you're not showcasing anything. So it has hit the industry hard. It's live events, end of the day. It is an event like any other event. So it's not rolling out, and we have to reinvent the model. We have to reinvent the sponsorship model. We have to adapt, and that is what's important. We need to go virtual in certain things. We've seen how sport has returned. We've seen the Bundesliga, we've seen the Premier League, we've seen golf. They have returned, and they've returned with some great planning, with some good social distancing norms, COVID norms, etc. And we've also seen interesting activations that come in. You know, you're seeing there's a Zoom TV in a stadium. If you see the Manchester City matches, there's a Zoom TV. Fans are actually watching the game through a certain camera angle, and the players can see the fans. You know, so those kind of technology and how we adapt and integrate technology is going to matter a lot. We got to give more like a real time experience to the players and the fans. So how we take the sport from home to stadium, that matters a lot.
Before it was a spot from stadium to home.
Yes.
Now it is home to stadium.
Yes. So
That while saying it only, I am getting multiple thoughts in my head.
exactly.
Home to stadium, stadium to home.
Bro, it's changed. It's changed the whole model and the way we work, the way we think. Nobody had expected this.
Yeah.
Like, the best of the tournaments, they didn't expect this. And cancellations due to natural disasters, etc. Yes, we know we're going to come back at some point. Now there's uncertainty. We don't know when the fans will be allowed to come back in the stadiums. End of the day, sport is only as good as the fans.
Yeah.
If there are no fans, if there's no people in the stands cheering for them, supporting the team, they're not going to get that vibe. The players are not going to enjoy it as they used to. You see a Virat or a Dhoni or a Sachin who, when they used to bat in and the chants that come in the stadium, that gives you a kick.
Yeah.
So as a sports person, we know that, and that's not going to happen anymore in the near future, at least. So it has changed the whole ball game of sports. And yes, we as sport marketeers, we're working on alternate rights. We're working on additional rights where we can give the brands. How we better fan engage from various applications, various screens like the Zoom screen that I spoke about, and that's how trying to bring the fan back into the game. That's what we're trying to achieve that right now.
So, do you think this IPL happening in the UAE can be something similar to something that happened in South Africa? The response, or South Africa, that means when the elections were in India in I don't know what year,
2009.
2009. Yeah.
Yes, see, going to UAE is not our first option. Unfortunately, we cannot host it in India, considering the COVID scenario right now. And we would obviously love to play in India for our fans in our country, but the situation does not permit. And yes, the IPL, upon its return, I think it's going to be a blockbuster event. The marketeers, the industry, they're calling it as the fifth quarter. They're calling it as the tentpole event, because that's when your festive period meets cricket. And IPL is a festival of its own.
Yeah.
It's India ka tyohar, like we say, It's a celebration, and when it comes during the festive period, it's even more attractive for every brand out there. When IPL happens normally in the summer, there are no big Bollywood releases. There are no TV shows, reality shows. Everybody stops because they know that IPL is going to take the TRP. With sports not happening, and if IPL is the first Indian tournament to be hosted, right? So that's going to attract a lot of eyeballs. The TRP, we are projecting that it might reach scales which it has never before.
Okay.
It's a report by YouGov, which is expecting that a record TRP for IPL.
Wow.
And record viewership and record reach, impressions, everything. And a similar case I would like to say is the NBA. The NBA recently restarted, right? They sold their ad inventory for the course of the tournament.
Wow.
So while people say that, will the brands invest, will the brands be cautious, they have to get back to normal at some point, and they don't have enough channels to promote right now. If one IPL tournament or whichever sport tournament happens first, they would all want to be a part of it. There are no concerts happening, there are no live events happening. So I think IPL will come back stronger than ever, and the response will be fabulous.
Like you said, IPL is a festival, and the economy in India from the last 5 years, it's almost like we are back in 1991. So you think the IPL will pace up the economy in the year 2020 at least?
See, Farhan, it's Indian economy is big. It's huge.
Yeah.
Like our GDP is one of the highest in the world, and I don't think how much of a impact it would make directly onto the GDP. But hosting an IPL, we're talking about injecting $500 million in the economy, and that's a big amount, right? And through that $500 million, there are several contracts going out. There are day-to-day laborers who are earning. There are production guys earning. There's staff like us who's earning, and it spreads out. It's a ripple effect. So if a tournament is happening, if the money is coming in, that money is being spent somewhere. So that cash flow is increasing in the economy, and yes, it will help in a certain way. It will inject, like I said, $500 million in the economy, but I don't know how much it will show up on the GDP figures, etc. It's too small an amount for India's GDP. If we're talking about $2-3 trillion economy, right? But yes, that injection is important. There are people who don't have jobs for the longest time. I used to freelance. Luckily, I am working full time right now, so I am not too hit by that. But I know my friends who haven't worked since ISL got over.
Wow.
And that happened in March.
Wow.
So they've been out of work and they don't know when the next job will come up. So for people, it's very important to have a source of income, and eventually if I'm getting some money, I'm going to spend it somewhere, right? So that cash flow will be a positive narrative for IPL, and it will have a very big impact in the future.
So Talib, considering the current state of business, the pattern of every brand is to conserve cash.
Right.
What is it that a brand needs to understand, and what kind of sectors or what kind of genres of brands you feel can leverage the IPL right now?
That's an interesting one. Yes, Farhan, we spoke that yes, brands are cautious about their spending, and everybody's looking at return of investment and how much media value does IPL sponsorship give them, right? And if you look back traditionally, IPL has been receptive to every sector, be it banks, be it cellular networks, be it phones, be it fantasy gaming. They've all done well. They've come on board. We've always had a automotive brand. We've had Volkswagen, we've got Maruti, and now we have Tata. So there are certain brands which are always there. There's been Yes Bank, there's been Vodafone. There have been big brands who've achieved a lot out of IPL. Even now, you and me, when we go to play cricket, we say, oh wow, that's like a viewer perfect catch. Or if we take a break, I saw somebody post on Twitter, that Premier League has drinks break right now. So somebody posted on Twitter that that's like a CL strategic timeout. So we seamlessly integrate these IPs into cricket. If a good catch becomes a viewer perfect catch. A game-changing moment becomes a Dream 11 game-changing moment, right? So these IPs are spoken of and they're not forgotten. They're still in the head. Like people still talk about Yes Bank's maximum.
Yeah.
So if you hit a 6 in your gully cricket,
Yes Bank.
oh, that's a Yes Bank maximum.
Yeah.
People still think of all that. So I think IPL gives an unmatched top of the mind recall. You still remember these activations. At the same time, you look at the reach and the viewership of IPL. There's an interesting article I read a couple of days back where 610 million people voted last year in the general elections. More number of people watched IPL, 2019 IPL. So there are more people watching IPL than voting out there, which is one of the biggest events that happens in any country, right? So we're talking about 700 million people watching the IPL, and that's obviously combined with OTT and broadcast and TV. So the reach that IPL gives to any brand is unmatched. It goes to the tier 2, tier 3 cities. There are 7-8 languages that the IPL reaches out to.
Yeah.
There was an important study where people relate to the sport better if it's there in their own mother tongue, in their own language. So that's why Star has various languages now. We have Kannada, we have Telugu, we have Bengal. So it's Hindi. So it's the scale of IPL. Like I said, no other sport gives that. And if you say which brands should ideally come on board right now, IPL has done wonders for brands in terms of awareness. There were certain brands, I wouldn't name them, but you didn't know about them. They suddenly came on board. Within 5 years, they had 25% of market share.
Name it, it's okay.
The
audience wants to know.
So I don't know if that brand would like to disclose their numbers, to be honest. But we look at Dream 11, like they work well on IPL. They're a unicorn company right now.
Yeah.
Their number of daily active users, it jumped. And how last year? So similarly, like a fantasy brand, like Dream 11, they saw a record number of jump during the IPL because cricket is their product. People actually play fantasy games on cricket. So without cricket, there's no fantasy, right? So we have seen a trend where such tech brands are coming on board, like Dream 11, which is an app based. We've seen Byju's come as Indian cricket team sponsor. We've seen these brands, showing interest, and they have the bandwidth right now because they've not been as much as hit as the traditional industries.
Yeah.
Like the e-learning.
Is Seat Tire still on? Seat Tire strategic
Yes, pretty
partner?
much. Yes. They're very well integrated and they love their property.
Yeah, that's a very
like I said, we were saying, because there's so much earned media, like people, we record exposures, we record media value, how much exposure a brand got during a game. But what about the talk shows? What about the additional earned media that they get across digital? You have a Shah Rukh Khan and a Preeti Zinta tweeting about a match.
Fair.
You're having Gopal Jindal, who's a corporate big guy, tweeting about IPL.
Yeah.
So these guys are talking about it, and that gives organically. They're posting pictures organically. It gives you views and it gives you exposure. And the interesting bit is during the lockdown, when there was no sport, right? And even when sport returned, Premier League returned, Bundesliga returned. Even after the return of those sports in India, cricket highlights had the highest viewership.
Wow.
IPL highlights had 60% of the market. Even with this.
No wonder Star Sports keeps showing IPL.
Exactly. So, and that is working. People still are watching archival footage. They're getting nostalgic. They're watching those games. They're reliving it. So people are starved for sports, and when the IPL comes, it's going to be a big festival. Especially like you see the e-commerce brands during the Diwali festivals and the big Amazon and the Flipkarts and everybody, Snapdeal, Paytms. They spend, I think, about more than 1,200 crores in 3 months, and 40% of their business comes in those 3 months. Wow. So it's a good time for brands to come on board to synergize with IPL, to make the most of this festive period, because people are supposedly having better disposable income. They spend during that time, and everybody will be watching IPL.
As we come closer to the last and closing ceremonies of the first episode, this is the final segment that we have, and it's called the Karela or the Shots. Yeah. So it's just like another rapid fire thingy, but all that you have to do is when a question is asked to you, you either answer, take a shot, or you don't answer, stay silent and drink the Karela ka juice. Right, Talib?
That's crazy, bro.
So special Karele ka juice made by my dear wife. She's been very supportive to me. So here it is, Talib.
I hope I don't have to have much of that, bro.
We'll see. Here you are. Karele ka juice and a shot.
So I have to have a shot if I answer.
If you answer, yeah.
And if I don't answer, I have to Karela juice. I respectively have to have a shot.
So shot is something that is the whole thing about this entire show.
Wow.
है ना?
You should have told me this before, buddy.
Doesn't work like that. So question number 1, Talib. One person in the industry you want to get drunk with, like tod food.
Yuvraj Singh?
Yuvraj Singh?
Yeah.
You've partied with him?
No, not really.
Not really?
Not really.
That smile?
No,
Look at that smile.
but I know he likes to
Yeah.
have fun.
Short, sir.
Big shot.
Wow!
I need to make this smaller.
Okay, I'll make it a small.
Bye.
Second question. Which is name the boss you will want to never work with?
Name my boss.
Ex-boss.
Ex-boss.
Boss, ex-boss whom you will never want to work with.
I cannot answer that.
Talib being the good professor.
It's a very small industry.
करेले का juice Talib. नहीं bottoms up bro.
इतना पूरा glass थोड़ी
Okay. Third question. I know sports is very glamorous. Sports is very entertaining. But have you mixed your professional and your personal life? Have you had those moments where a cheerleader just comes to you and hey Talib, and you're like, hi babe, have you done that?
No.
No? Yeah.
I know it's hard to
Have you not done it, or you don't want to answer it? Because you've taken a karele ka juice unknowingly.
Okay, that means I meant no.
You meant no? Yeah, guys. Yeah. It happens, shit happens. But guys, don't get into Me Too shit, okay? For you. One job that you would never do.
Oh yeah, I could answer that. There's a job of it's a very tedious and hectic job of accreditation. So accreditation. So that's basically you see those passes. The passes people call those are called accreds.
Okay.
And you actually have to take people's data and approve and disapprove, and it is a very tedious and mind-fucking job.
Yeah.
I can never do that.
No. So you answered it and you want to take a shot now. Take a shot.
अभी नेक्स्ट वाले में खाली एक्टिंग करूँगा
नहीं थोड़ा तो पी ले लो ना
घर जाना है यार
हाँ तो क्या हुआ So my last and my final question, I am getting that question again. IPL, is it only about cricket or is it about entertainment? It's a business, and yeah, clear me out. Like my mind is still stuck.
It is.
First answer. Are you going to answer?
Yes, I think I will answer.
Oh, so now you have to take the shot and then answer.
That's the last shot.
That's the last answer, the last shot that you can.
Yes, Farhan, my answer remains the same. It is purely cricket focused, and it is cricket based. But there are big commercials involved as well. It has become a business. It's grown to become a business. So it is about cricket, and it's not tamasha.
It's not tamasha.
It's not tamasha.
So guys, IPL is not tamasha. You can call it a tewar, but you cannot call it a tamasha. Okay? You are common people. It's cricket. Game नहीं होता है यहाँ पे. Okay? Don't forget match fixing होता है, ये होता है, वो होता है, भूल जाओ. कुछ नहीं होता है. Okay? It's only and only cricket. And marketers like us make it business. Right, Talib?
Perfect. इतने शॉट मरवा लिया यार तू
मजा आती है कट तो पहले वन लास्ट
नहीं ब्रो नहीं
तेरा भाई तालिब तेरा भाई सब बताएगा
नहीं होगा ब्रो यार
तो मैं नहीं पर गाड़ी तेरा भाई चलाएगा